Since winter is upon us, there's not much to do other than watching the final rounds of tournaments on the Golf Channel, read through golf articles. So the other day, CBS dropped its top 10 under 30 list, and for the most part, I agree with the list. There are some selections that I did not disagree with. In the top 5, they have Jon Rahm, Scottie Scheffler, XANDER Schauffele, Justin Thomas, and Collin Morikawa. Underneath that, they have Matt Fitzpatrick, Will Zalatoris, Victor Hovland, Jordan Spieth, and Cameron Young rounding out the top 10. And in their honorable mentions, they have Tom Kim, Sung J M, and Sam Burns. My list varies a little bit different. Go ahead and pause the video. I want to know what's your top 10. Doesn't have to include any of those, but top 10 under 30. I want to hear what you think in terms of how does that list stack up in terms of order. I'm going to go through mine and talk about why the list should vary slightly. While the list has great intentions, there are some different criteria in which I rank the players, and you'd be surprised to hear some of the stats for some of these players that are on this list. Particularly as it relates to Jordan Spieth. I know coming out of the gate, he had a ton of success, and same thing with Justin Thomas. So you'd be surprised to see how many wins that they have on tour and how that leads into how I decide my list. I'll go ahead and tell you, Tom Kim, that boy is a star. 2 wins, 1 in the last season and then 1 in the wraparound season. He's making my top 10 and he's higher than you think. A lot of the players that I enjoy watching and I think that should go higher on this list are high octane players. Players who hit a lot of greens and a lot of fairways and can bomb the ball. That's a criteria for me to get up there on the list and making a lot of birdies per round. And Jon Rahm starts my list off. And that kid can hit a ton of greens. When he's got it going, he's got it going. And he's got that edge to him. You know, early on when Jon came out on tour, I was a little bit wary of his attitude and the way he acted poorly after shots didn't go his way or putts. It very much reminded me of Sergio Garcia. Thank God he's grown out of that for the most part. And you can just tell he's matured, even though he still seems to have a chip on his shoulder in terms of where he ranks with the top players, particularly as it relates to sharing the shadow with Rory McIlroy this past season. I think Jon is poised for a breakout season, trying to prove his point and why he's number 1. When you look at a lot of the rankings on the PGA Tour, whether it be driving, birdies per round, Jon is going to be in the top 5 every time. So he's number 1, well deserved. Number 2, Scottie Scheffler is the man. Last year, going into the Masters, he was on a tear. Of course, taking home the championship. Seemed like at a certain point that he couldn't miss greens. You would see him with a wedge in and you just knew he was going to be sticking it close to the hole, and really came into his own this season. High powered, he owns his swing, it's consistent. Watching that man on the range, going through his clubs and just the divot pattern, can call his distances, pretty amazing from Scottie Scheffler. I think this coming year he's poised to bounce back or either fall apart, but I'm betting on bouncing back. After losing the Tour Championship, I think he's going to come out with the fire and wanting to win more majors and solidify himself in the game. But yeah, number 2, well deserved. I agree with this pick on their list. Number 3, XANDER Schauffele for CBS. I make an alternate pick. I bring Will Zalatoris up from number 6 on their list. I think Will has the ball striking prowess to compete with anybody on the tour. And yes, there were a lot of knocks on his putting and it's still a little bit wonky as he kind of has some waver in his club when he's going on this backswing. I think he'll resolve a lot of that in this offseason. In my opinion, his putting was the big thing holding him back. As close as he hits it in proximity to the hole, I think he deserves a lot more birdies on the card. So look for Will Zalatoris to have a few more wins this year after he captured his first. He had been chomping at the bit to get that one on the board, and he did so. So look forward to Will Zalatoris having a breakout season. I have him at number 3. And number 4, I have Tom Kim. Again, I'm going to reiterate, that kid has already proven that he's a winner. And just his enjoyment of the game and just looks like he's having a ton of fun out there. He's 20 years old, just nothing but skill and guts going for him. I think he will have another couple of wins on the card this year. Don't be surprised if he sneaks up and wins a major. These young kids come out with a different fire and understanding of the game of golf, not necessarily needing to grind it out for so many years before they are able to get some wins on deck. So with him winning 2, look for big things from Tom Kim. I think CBS is highly underrating this kid. He should not even be in the honorable mentions. He should be ranked somewhere on their list. He's number 4 for me. Number 5, they have Collin Morikawa, and I love Collin, but I have Xander Schauffele in this spot, sliding him down from the CBS list. Xander's a ball striking wizard as well. I don't know why he's not one more. Just doesn't seem like he has it down the clutch or has a round that's subpar. I hope that he has a major breakout season. He's got 7 PGA Tour wins under his belt, which I was surprised by. I always felt like he was coming up short, and his Olympic gold to boot. I think Xander Schauffele is due. I hope that he has a major win this year and just really overcomes that. Once he gets over that hurdle, I think there's so many more wins that he could capture before his career is over. Just he's long, he's super accurate. I love his game, solid, consistent. Just needs to get more birdies on the card, avoid the subpar round, and I think he's gonna be a breakout star. Number 6 on the CBS list is Matt Fitzpatrick. I like Matt's game, solid, winning the US Open this year. Heart and guts coming down the stretch in that tournament really showed me something, and he's gotten longer off the tee this year, so that was impressive. But I do think there are levels. To this game, and when I talk about the high octane players, I don't think he's that. His game is solid, it's amazing. I'd take it any day of the week, but there's another level that you have to reach in terms of your game and just athleticism that I don't think he has to get there. I remember a couple of years ago he was criticizing Bryson DeChambeau for the gains and all the distance, and that this was a game of skill, and I agree with that to a certain degree, but I think that you also have to have both, which is why he went seeking out some power. But when you look at him compared to the other players on this list, I don't think he has it to that level. He will have a number of PGA Tour wins in his career, but he's already 28. He's on the higher side of this list. And again, he'll have some wins. He will probably have another major in his career before it's all said and done. But when you look at the talent that he possesses compared to others on this list, I do think there is a difference. Kudos to Matt for winning his first major, but I don't think he deserves a spot on the top 10 of this list. Probably honorable mention. Number 7 on the CBS list is Will Zalatoris. Again, I had him at number 3. I have Collin Morikawa on this spot simply because, one, he's won 2 majors and has 5 PGA Tour wins, including those 2 majors. Solid game. I know last year he struggled with his cut. That's his go-to shot, and he was struggling. He was hitting draws and couldn't get his swing back that had led him to success the previous season. We saw flashes at the end of last year of his game returning. I expect more from him as we roll into this season. He's so accurate off the tee. You know, he's not the longest player, but he can pick apart certain golf courses where it's placement and you have to golf your ball. I really look forward to seeing Collin return to the winner's circle. It was good seeing somebody who wasn't just a bomber having so much success on tour. I think it gave a lot of different players just some inspiration to go out there and win, just because he was doing it very differently than we had seen in previous years. Number 8, Viktor Hovland on both lists. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Something about Viktor, I feel like he's just on the verge of breaking out. He's won 3 tournaments on the PGA Tour, plays solid driving. His short game was a bit of a struggle for years, and he's improved that. It's still not top 50 in the PGA Tour, but he's getting there. And if he can shore up his short game and chipping around the greens, because guess what? Even PGA Tour players don't hit all the greens. If he can get that part of his game tightened up, watch out for this guy. I mean, he hits the ball a mile. Driving is amazing. Hitting greens, accurate. Just look at that physique. I think he's going to be in the game for a long time. Like, he's strong, but he's not overly strong like Bryson DeChambeau. I think we should see big things coming from Viktor Hovland. Again, I think he'll compete this year for majors as he finds his way. I'm rooting for him. Number 9 on the CBS list was Jordan Spieth. Number 9 for me, Sam Burns. Him and that mustache. Sam Burns is a stud. He's got 4 wins on tour. I think he will compete this year, having a breakout season. The talent pool, as I'm going down this list, is just amazing to me. I think the PGA Tour is in line to have a great season. People like Sam really are huge for growing the game. He's accessible, seems to be a fan favorite, handsome to boot. I'm okay with saying that. I'm secure in my manhood. The dude is a winner, and I think he will break out either this year or next year, just depending on how the breaks land for him. Number 10 on the CBS list is Cameron Young, and while I think the kid is a stud, he was all around leaderboards this year, but he wasn't able to bring home the trophy, even though he was very, very close, even in the Open this past year. So I'd look for big things for him. I don't think it's his time quite yet. And yes, he may sneak a win in this year. He's just been too close unless he just falls off. We don't know if that will distract him or if he will make a play to go over there. But his name has come up quite a bit when you talk about LIV and a potential signee. And that could be a money situation. He's a new dad, a new family, maybe wants to stay home, who knows? But his path to greatness on the PGA Tour is written if he stays on that path. But if he chooses to divert, c'est la vie. I said all that to say this. Number 10 on my list is Jordan Spieth. He made a resurgence this year, winning the RBC at Harbor Town. Game looked good. I know he's still getting that new swing tailored down. You see him still working on the practice swing going into it, but it's looking a lot more comfortable. Let's not forget how many wins Jordan has on tour. He's been successful, and I thought he would never come back after that Masters flub, but he has, and the game is coming back and rounding it back into shape. I expect Jordan to have a few more major wins in his career. He's still young, 29 years old. He's an elder statesman at this point, but he's been around. We know the face. It just feels like he's been on the tour forever since he came out so young. Cheering for Jordan. He's a Dallas native, but it says something for Jordan Spieth to be number 10 on the top 10 under 30. Big things for the PGA Tour this year. There's no lack of talent, and there's so many names as I was going through the list and looking at other candidates of young and up-and-coming players that have a chance to make this list in the years that are coming ahead of us. Let me know again, who's your top 10? If you don't like filling out the top 10, give me your top 5 players. If it's somebody completely outside of this list, I want to know. I'm interested in seeing who you guys are watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay warm out there.